One nuclear weapon.
Hello and welcome to the program Global Update. This is that program that keeps you up to date with happenings from around the globe in the course of the week. Now, for this episode, we'll be looking at the African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, having leaders from across the continent to discuss and address key political, economic, and social issues facing Africa, as it has a new chairman that has just emerged. We also have ECOWAS Commission reaffirming its call for authorities concerned in Senegal to set a date for the country's presidential election. This and more will form the outlook of this week's episode of the program. I am Patricia Esanuluba. Welcome once again to Global Update. I'll be back in the next few minutes, but I'll be with you for the next half an hour. Do stay with me. Now, the 37th African Union Summit, which is an annual event, holds in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, brought together leaders from across the continent to discuss and address key issues of concern facing the African continent. It serves as a platform for member states to collaborate, negotiate, and strategize on matters ranging from peace and security to regional integration and development. The summit plays a pivotal role in shaping the continent's agenda and fostering cooperation among its diverse nations. Now, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, who is ECOWAS chairman, is also in attendance at the Nelson Mandela Hall. The central theme for the summit is Educate an African Fit for the 21st Century, building resilient education systems for increased access to inclusive, lifelong, quality, and relevant learning in Africa. Now, with me to discuss the matters arising at the summit is Mr. Paul Ejime, an international affairs analyst. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me, Patricia.
Well, it's a pleasure always to have you with us, and it has been long we didn't have you, but then again, you're welcome, and I will go straight to our business for the day. Now, with what is in your mind, we want you to talk about the issues that need to be discussed that will bring volumes to the present challenges in the continent, with a brief on what is at stake.
You have mentioned the team. Usually summits like that, they take out a team, and the team this year is on resilient education, education for all and all that, because that is part of the pillars of development. Education, healthcare, and all those infrastructure. These are the pegs that you can use in advancing or industrialization. So Africa faces, not just Africa, in the world today there is economic recession, and Africa, because of its weak institutions, has not been spared. Education is one of it. The number of millions of children that are out of school or have never accessed schooling or education, they are, on the high. And so if they have chosen this year, this topic, perhaps to focus on that. But my challenge really is that every year, this ritual of having one team or the other, but after the summit, it will appear that very little happens in terms of concrete achievement. How much are they investing in education? Because you have to invest to be able to reap. And here, there has to be gestation period. Like you plant a seed, you have to water it, and then we do the weeding before you talk about harvest. But here, you cannot, it's like preparing for an Olympic sports. If you do not put in a lot of preparation or planning, you don't expect to cross the line before your opponents. And it's a competitive world, global, competitive, and then we have to showcase. We are never lack of the human resources. That is one thing that God has given Africa.
We're talking about education, and there's the word they say when you educate a woman, though I would rather we use it when you educate a person. You're educating something that will be done, that will go further. Education has been itemized to be like what the discussion or the summit is going to hold with. What else do you think would have been preferred to discuss? Because we have a lot of issues facing Africa. We have insecurity, we have food challenges and all this. But why do you think just education, is it just to educate the person and then we'll know that many things could come out later? What's your take on that?
I know you're being modest when you say educate a person, you don't want to go into the gender. But I am also gender sensitive. I would say educate the girl child and then you educate the nation, because it has shown that women, for whatever it is, they manage homes. You find them also excelling in all areas of human endeavor. You know, you put them in charge. And I'm this not talking down on the women, on the men. I'm a man, but I have also seen that us men, we have our own limitations. But anyway, all have to, whatever gender you are, I think God has given us what it takes to, for us to discover what it is that we can bring to the table, and then develop it, and then use it to improve, and you know where you are, and then the other world. Well, like you said, education is not the only thing. Africa is challenged economically. You know, you look at the debt, you know, they are owing external debt. World Bank and IMF are playing parts, you know, contributing to the policies and are not helping matters. Then there is security, you know, human security, and then, you know, talk about Nigeria, there is kidnapping, you know, and all that, and ransom, and then there is terrorism. You know, this is a global phenomenon that no country has been able, and no country will be able to do it alone, because it cuts across borders. Then you talk about food security. That is another thing, because hunger or famine is gradually creeping in because of, and then the high cost of living. Don't ask me whether I now have to go to the market to compare notes after when they come back with the amount they have been given, and then you look at what is there. The purchasing power is look at the exchange rate. So these are the issues. And then infrastructure. You need to have roads to be able for the farmers to bring their produce to sell before they go. But then these are impacted by, for instance, the increase in gas, in fuel. So everybody, and then you find everybody talking about exchange rate. If you go to the market woman trader, they say, don't you know how much dollar is being the exchange rate, as if we are spending. And that is some of the issues that government has to address to make us Africans think, you know, African. Of course, the currency we are using, we have acquired also some foreign tastes that we need to, if we begin to service them or keep on to them, the lifestyle is not commensurate with what we are earning. African countries, most of them are mono commodity, you know, primary products. These are the prices, like for instance, oil and all that. The prices or cocoa, they are determined Those who are buying them, they buy them at rock bottom price and then process and then bring them back for us to buy at exorbitant. So it doesn't add up. We must be able to produce, to eat what we produce and then produce what we eat. And then be able now to trade, because that is the only way. So if we trade, then the balance of trade should be in our favor and not always be in other people's. So that is the basket of the asking that Africans will need to address, apart from education. Health is one thing. The summit, in their wisdom, they have chosen the president of Nigeria, who is also the chairman of the authority of ECOWAS, heads of state and government. He's been chosen as the champion of health. That comes with responsibility. That we have to put an end to the situation where people have to go outside Africa to seek for health services. We should be able to have, you know, the health system that will support us in a way that we do not, you know, have to fly somewhere, because we're spending foreign currency. We say we don't have dollar, and if we have to spend that, the little that we have, to go outside and then pay other people because of treatment or the basics, you know, so that is, in a nutshell, it is a challenge that I think everybody, all hands must be on the table, but also the authorities that have been tasked with this, should all the ministries, all the health, those who are intervening in the education and everywhere, let them research and come out with something that will, you know, show, you know, result-oriented, that will bring the kind of development, industrialization, and then put Africa on the world map.
Well, that's a wish and that's a prayer, and I say amen to it. Now, the AU has just gotten a new chairman, which has just emerged while they are there. And his name is President Mohamed Al Ghazani of Mauritania, with his promises that his tenure will definitely focus on, again, how to facilitate quality education for the African child and the youthful population. Back to education. How do you marry that with the theme of the year, and then what you have made your submissions earlier?
You know, they say the devil is in the details. It's good, all these promises, commitments are made, but one area where what is lacking is a political will to put this. For instance, in health, for instance, let's begin with that. In 2000, African heads of state committed to devoting 15% of the annual budget to health. Many of them have not done that. There might be the same commitment in education that this is what we are going to do, but you find that after the meeting, everybody will just go on their own way. But what am I saying? That to bring it to the regional and the continental level, you have to start at home, you know, by, you know, setting out, investing first in education. It is when you invest and properly, strategically, with targets of what you want to achieve. When you do that, then you would have started. That is halfway. So that when you finish with that, you can now shake hands with other countries, 54 of them, to say, begin with the region. Africa has 8 what they call regional economic communities: ECOWAS, ECAS, Maghreb, SADC, and all that, you know, IGAD, and so on and so forth. The idea is that these are supposed to serve as the engine of development. So starting from, it's like a concentric circle. You start from home and then move to your neighbors, and then region before continent. There is the, you know, African continental free trade. That is also another ambitious project. But you cannot improve on that if you look at what is happening today. Intra-African trade is hovering between 11% and 15%. So the Africans are not even trading among themselves.
Well, like you said, you talked about planning. Yes, planning is paramount in everything we do. And if one is planning, you are planning to succeed. But when you don't plan, you plan to fail. So we'll now just take a short break, and we'll dabble into the issue of Senegal when we come back after this timeout. Stay with me.
This is NTA News 24 broadcasting from Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms.
Start Times, Channel 101, Freak TV, Channel 703, GSTV, Channel 419, and Go TV, Channel 46.
For more information, log on to our website www.nta.ng or join us on our social media handles, Twitter at NTA News 24, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers.
NTA News 24,
News and more news.
Glad you're still with us, and if you've just tuned in, the program is Global Update. It is that program that keeps you up to speed with happenings from around the globe. I am still with Mr. Paul Ejime, an international affairs analyst. Now, Mr. Paul, following the decision of the postponement of Senegal's presidential election of 15th February 2024, ECOWAS Commission called the authorities concerned in Senegal to set a date for the country's presidential election. I'm aware you just told us that you are back, you just got back from Senegal. What can you tell us is the situation in that country, and then what can be done, based on ECOWAS mandate, or rather instruction, that they should try and put a date for the presidential election?
So with ECOWAS struggling to get back some of its members, four of the 15 countries are under military rule, and there is now the challenge to get them restore constitutional order. Before you know it, three of them, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, they have given notice that they want to leave the organization. This is a very difficult time for ECOWAS, to say the least. And then what was regarded as the anchor in the region, where unfortunately there is this derogatory name that the region has, West Africa, is called the cool zone or area, But this is one country, Senegal, that its independence from France in 1960 had never seen military rule, and had been considered an anchor of stability and democratic ideals, having democratic credentials. But suddenly from 2020 or 2021, this bug of third term, crept in with President Macky Sall trying now to do things when, usually it's they start with tinkering with the constitution or the electoral laws. So he tried that, but thank God he said he was no longer going to run. 2 weeks or so ago, he became an issue because there were allegations. They have what they call the Constitutional Council, and then the Parliament, and everybody, the candidates, 20 had been screened to participate, including the former, but one of them who couldn't make it was the president of the son of the former president, Karim Wade, Abdoulaye Wade was, that's his father. So they were screened out, and then that became an issue. Then, before you know it, the president came out with a decree that the election will no longer hold, that it should be postponed. And then we saw this ugly incident of what you call the most undemocratic. It's like what happened in a Capitol in the U.S. of gendarmes getting into the parliament to eject opposition MPs. And so that to clear the way for the parliament to now come out with this, their own law, saying that the election should now be postponed till December. But thank gracious, on Thursday, the Constitutional Council bounced back to say, listen, that's decree, and then the law that was passed by Parliament, a nullity. That is, they are unconstitutional and will not stay. So the next step now will be for the stakeholders to meet and then agree on a date. But in doing that, they must have in their mind the fact that 2nd of April is the time given, is when Macky Sall's second term will end. So that is but before you know it, people have been killed, about 3. There were street protests and all that. So it is, this could be an appeasement.
In about 2 minutes, I would like us to talk about the electoral process. What do you think, will the people comply, as it were, because we know without the electoral processes being adhered to, election would not be called fair and free. So do you see the people, despite all that you have talked, like the challenges on, that they will be able to comply with the electoral process that is on ground for them?
I think the political actors must act with faith, good faith, not bad faith. Somebody like Macky Sall should know that his time will end on the 2nd of April. So he has to really do everything to leave a legacy and say, listen, I've done my part, because it was unnecessary, this postponement. The other thing is that there have been so many political detainees. I think he has now started freeing some of them, including the family of one of Sonko, Usman Sonko, who has grown popular by the fact that government using high-handedness in handling this case. Originally, it was rape case. Rape was dropped, and now he's been sent to prison for causing disorder. And there is also another gentleman, Bashiru Faye, who is also in jail awaiting trial. And because Sonko cannot run, he has anointed him to say, if in case he cannot come out before the election, that his supporters will vote for him. Amidst all of this, I think the government is jittery, because the person they are putting their hope for the election, the Prime Minister Mamadou Ba, does not seem to enjoy much support. But that is politics. This is the same Macky Sall that was on the neck of former president, his former boss, former president Abdoulaye Wade, who wanted a 3rd term but couldn't get it because people like Macky Sall were against it. It is surprising, it's ironic that the same Macky Sall is now towing that same line, of trying to perpetuate themselves in authority. It cannot happen. Once you have served your term, you leave the stage. The world is a stage. You play your part and let others do so. There is no, after 12 years, he has been there for 12 years and served as, president of parliament, served, there is no, and now president. What else, you will say, will such a person be looking for? It is not the end of elections in Senegal or any other place. There will also be another election. So I think, that reason will prevail with the support of ECOWAS and all the other international, stakeholders, to make sure that Senegal does not slip into this precipice of undemocratic road, because it will only add, it will make things much, much difficult for ECOWAS, which is already struggling.
Yeah. And that will not definitely happen by His grace. Now, in just a minute, I would like us to round up this conversation, but taking your opinions on the fact that what should ECOWAS Commission do to proffer way out in the entire matters? They matter in this. What can they do?
Yes.
In a minute?
They have done so before and they can do that again. And ECOWAS has the protocol, all the the tools they can use. The supplementary protocol on democracy and good governance has, all the provisions. But what had been lacking is leadership. Let them, let them go back. Look at, and then, for instance, coup is not new in ECOWAS. This is an ECOWAS that has ended wars in Liberia and Sierra Leone. Even in Niger, it has solved problems in Cote d'Ivoire, in Mali, across, its member states. So they have now to rediscover themselves and then stand by, let them be sincere, the leaders. I think they are the ones. Because when you carry out constitutional, electoral, ballot box, or, coups, what you are cutting is a military coup. And there has to be a rule of the thumb. Whatever you do, because that is what these other members are saying, those who are trying to leave ECOWAS, that you cannot have one rule for military adventurers and then another rule for political adventurers. So it is a rule of the thumb. Nobody should go scot-free. If there should be consequences for every bad behavior.
Well, Mr. Paul, I really want to say a big thank you, because you've really digested all these issues for us, and we have a clearer view of what really is happening within the global scene. I would like to really appreciate you for your time, the insight, and I hope we'll have you soon again with us in the studio for this kind of conversation.
Thank you for having me, Patricia. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Now we'll go straight into the other aspects of global update, where we talk about the Russian officials, where they say Kremlin's most prominent critic, that's Alexei Navalny, has died in an Arctic prison a month before an election poised to extend Vladimir Putin's hold on power. Navalny's death after 3 years in detention, and a poisoning that he blamed on the Kremlin deprives Russia opposition on its figurehead at a time of intense repression and Moscow's campaign in Ukraine. Reports have it that medics from a hospital in Russia far north spent more than half an hour trying to resuscitate Navalny, who reportedly lost consciousness after a walk. And that has been a global update. Hope to see you same time, same station next week with some fresh developments from around the world. Thanks for being part of this. I am Patricia Esamiluba. Let's have this as our take home for this week. In every challenge lies an opportunity for growth and resilience. Keep moving forward with courage and determination, for brighter days are always on the horizon. Stay safe.